an obstetrician and gynecologist, and an alumnus of Medical College Trivandrum. Madam is also the president of the Association of Trivandrum Medical Graduates, an expert in women's health, urogynecology, and an active member of the British Association of Physicians of Indian origin.
Our third discussant is Dr. Sindhu Pillai. She is a pediatrician and is a fellow of American Academy of Pediatrics and is an award winner. She has received Best Pediatrician Award in 5 successive years.
The next discussant is Dr. Gopalakrishnan Nair. He is a consultant urological surgeon and clinical urology director at North Middlesex University Hospital, London. Also an alumnus of Trivandrum Medical College, Sir is an expert in endourology and general pediatric urology. Currently the General Secretary of the Association of Trivandrum Medical Graduates in the UK. Do we need?
A very good afternoon to everyone. And I think we are only about an hour and a half past the schedule. And we have a lot of dreams. We were dreaming big. And what I appreciate is that certainly the patients and the people who are sitting and hearing for the coming 3 days all these speeches. And probably I would recommend John Panikkar to introduce an award for someone who is really, dedicatedly doing this process. I want to thank the Alumni Association as a whole, and John Panikkar in particular, to invite me for this session, as well as I have a number of panelists and speakers, and the time is limited. Probably some of the people who are hungry are already gone for lunch. If you ask me, I am also hungry, but I cannot go for lunch right now. The subject is entrepreneurship and career orientation to the youngsters or the medical students and all the others. So all the distinguished guests who are on the dais and off the dais, I'll just introduce the subject for a few minutes, and then I may let about 5 minutes for each of the speakers, if you agree with. It was about 12, yeah, thank you, welcome. It was about 12 minutes, it was allotted. And so 5 minutes will be, there's 3 or 4 speakers are there, and then we go for a panel discussion. So anyone who are here like to ask questions, please ask, otherwise they will comment. See, entrepreneurship and career orientation are not subjects of medical education. And it comes later on. But I wish that it can be introduced as subjects of medical education or any education. Entrepreneurship is not to start a business and run it, but there are some qualities we need, and acquiring that qualities either by birth or genetically you have it, or you get it by environment and training, and that is what is required. And that is required not only for starting a business, I would say that that is required for the principals of this medical college, that is required for the DMs of this medical organization, or anybody who is intending to run an institution, healthcare or not. And that is what is required. And if you look at doctors, do we have qualities to become entrepreneur? We have tremendous qualities to become entrepreneur. But why we are not? Only 1% of the doctors in India has become entrepreneurs. But the hospitals are, about 70,000 hospitals are there in India now. And why are we, most of them are run by non-medical people, and why are that? Why is that? And that is the question you have to ask. So probably we are not, great in out-of-box thinking. We do not adjust our capabilities to some extent, and we don't try to acquire more knowledge and apply that, and that is probably the reasons. Usually, there are a few qualities we see in entrepreneurship, only 5 qualities I will mention. One is the leadership. I don't want to elaborate on that, the drive, and all of you know about it. Second is, like Jayakumar, Mr. Jayakumar IAS said, critical thinking and analytical ability. And every doctor has it. Every day you do, you see a nephrology patient or any patient, that's what you are doing. Analyze it, and then you make a thinking process and make a decision. And then communication. No need to say that communication is, is the most important for ourselves, doctors. And many of us have got tremendous capability on that. And strategic management capabilities, that's the last one. Before that, the relations, the rapport with our guests or patients, whatever you call it. And that is the 4th one. And the 5th one, I will say, the last one, is strategic management skills, and that is decision making. And every day we make decision with the patient. We do surgery, and we decide on surgery, which is critical, which is life-saving, which can be life-threatening. So certainly we have all the capabilities. But where are we missing out? So probably refine some of these capabilities and bring in some more out-of-the-box thinking. Probably we lose out in time management. And I have seen entirely in the kingdom of doctors, the time management is a failure. And so we do not keep up time, and we do not respect the time of the others. The guest and the patients has got, a lot of value for the time, probably better than us, and more than us. And so I think, so there may be some refinement which is required. I'm not going to go on because that is also a quality, sense of proportion. When to stop, where to stop, and how much to talk is, so we should not, go overboard at any point of time. So I think these are the qualities of entrepreneurship. And coming to the career application, I think there are a lot of experts who can talk about career orientation and career development for young minds. If someone is really listening, there are a few people here, and maybe there are outside on the video. There may be people. Are there people in the pavilion outside? Yeah. Okay. So there may be people who may benefit out of it. With that introduction, I thank you, and then we can go with the next speaker. Maybe I will invite Mr. Vijay Raghavan, and This is not Padma Shri Mr. Vijayaraghavan, this is G. Vijayaraghavan. Doctor, because I said that because Dr. Vijayaraghavan is our vice chairman in KIMSEL, and G. Vijayaraghavan is also our advisor, and both of them are always confused. One is a doctor, one is a non-doctor, one is Padma Shri, the other one is non-Padma Shri. So we sometimes distinguish. But he is known for his credentials in Kerala, and what I feel is that he's a very straightforward man. That is the biggest quality he has. And the other than that, he's a founder, director of Technopark, Niche, Cadre, and he's an entrepreneur and also a guru to many entrepreneurs. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Vijayaraghavan.
Thank you, Dr. Saudullah. One of the few non-doctors on this panel and maybe in this room. But thank you very much for inviting me here. I need to close in 5 minutes or maybe less. There is something to learn from everything. And for the younger people who are here, I know there are many who might be listening to it elsewhere. One of the things to learn from today is to keep time, okay? And to value time, irrespective of who the person is. Because I can understand when there is a surgeon who is operating on a patient. Many a time the surgeon may not know what all can come up. That surgeon taking more time to complete that procedure is acceptable and should happen. But for a meeting, if we take more time than what is planned, there is something wrong with all of us. And that is something which we should keep in mind. And I think that is the biggest lesson that the younger generation here should carry back. And that's something which unfortunately we don't value a lot, especially in Kerala. And I thought that's one thing I should tell you. I hope I have not offended anyone by saying that, but I think it's necessary because otherwise the younger generation here would think that it is normal to start something 1.5, 2 hours late, while a lot of people are waiting by. Coming to the topic which I would cover as medical entrepreneurship, I would say, in a way, everyone is an entrepreneur. Every doctor is an entrepreneur. Because when you look at it as being an entrepreneur, you are more committed to what you're doing because you are getting something out of it. Just because you work in a hospital which is owned by government or by somebody else, it doesn't mean that your entrepreneurial spirit can come down. You can actually become an entrepreneur irrespective of what kind of work you're doing. You can become an entrepreneur irrespective of what role you play. And many a time in organizations where they look at people, they say, does that person have the entrepreneurial spirit? So if you're working in the Trivandrum Medical College or any other hospital, and you talk about doing things which are not expected at your level, but which is going to increase the quality of service that you give, or you work in a private hospital and you go to somebody like Dr. Saudullah and say, there is this new procedure that is coming, I want to get trained and I want to start doing that here. You are a doctor with an entrepreneurial spirit. And this is something which each of you need to keep in mind. The other one which I would like to say, and in a way, I would say I'm a social entrepreneur because I've helped set up institutions and manage institutions which have a social commitment. And this is one thing which I know I'm probably talking to a group of doctors in the next week or so here, but I would like to say is that there is something lacking in our medical education today, which you will need to get after you leave the college. And you find that many successful people, including people like Dr. Saudullah or Dr. Akmg Pillai or the speakers who spoke earlier and some of those who are, that I actually got after that was not something which was given to them as part of their medical education. And that, I would say, it's not just medical education. In most parts of education, there has been a dilution on that. And one of the most important things I would say is values. Somehow we seem to lack values in most of our higher education programs that are there, which is why you see the kind of problems that are, because those who come out of this institution are actually the cream, like I think Dr. Srijit mentioned, the cream of society. And all of you are part of that. What we forget is that all of us, especially those who come out of a place like the Trivandrum Medical College, owes tremendously back to society. Your commitment to society and what your debt to society is very, very hard. Very, very high. It's very high because you've probably got your medical education so much subsidized. And I'm sure many of you would have, many of those who have come out, especially in the last several years, would have actually paid more for the entrance coaching than they would have paid for the entire medical education. So you owe it back to society. How can you pay back? When you pay back to society is when you can actually leave this world by saying that I am debt-free. Until you are debt-free, you are carrying that debt. And carrying debt is the worst thing that anybody can do. How can you do that? And I will tell you that each of you can be an entrepreneur in a way, and you can become a social entrepreneur, and that's what I would like to emphasize. Become a social entrepreneur in a way by giving back in some form or the other. And I quote an example which I quoted at the Indian Medical Association. In fact, somebody, a good friend of mine was here when I came. He said, "Cheeta parayanano varunnu parnu." I said, "Illa, valudayittu parayilla ennu paranju." But thing is that I quoted there, and I talked about this doctor in the northern part of India who decided to take on an MBBS course and then went on to do his MD because he saw members of his family dying because they didn't get medical attention on time. And you should go, you'll find it on the net. I written about it some time back, the 1 rupee clinic. He started a 1 rupee clinic. Is he an entrepreneur? I would say he's an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur does not mean that you are there to make money or to exploit people. An entrepreneur is a spirit that you have. So this person set up this 1 rupee clinic. And he was, at least when I wrote about 6-7 months ago, he was an assistant professor in a medical college, in a government medical college in the north of India. But every day after his work, and you know that those of you who teach here, the work is not easy, he would go back and spend a few hours in a clinic where he would charge every patient 1 rupee. And the reason for charging that 1 rupee was to say, I'm not giving it to you free. But 1 rupee is affordable. He then started a 1 rupee medicine also he would give. So he would talk to people and say, give me medicine, I'll distribute it at 1 rupee. So each of you have an opportunity to do that. And that is something you can do. The other one is like you heard earlier when Mr. Vidyasagar spoke, I think you're going to hear when he would speak, is about how do I specialize in certain areas? How do I turn that into a venture? And how do I do well there? And that is something which you have to pick up. There is no point in telling, I'll start another MRI center, or another scan center, or another one because the guy who started earlier is making money. The best thing to do there is to identify niche areas which will make an impact in society. When you say you are the cream of society, you need to say that what you do will make a big impact in society. And to identify those niche areas where there are gaps existing today, come out with solutions there, which could be in research, coming out with something new, coming out with a new process, and trying to do how you can convert that into something which is going to have a high impact on society. I'll conclude by that, with that. I know I've just crossed my time. Just say thank you very much once again. But the opportunities are huge. It's for each of us to seize. Thank you very much.
Hi, Mr. Vijagavan, thank you very much indeed. And you touched upon very well that entrepreneurship is not always about making money. It is actually following your passion and also happiness. We were talking about dreaming big and dreaming big, and everybody wants to be entrepreneur or everybody wants to be high. We need ordinary people also to run this world. And what we look at is whatever you do, do well and happiness. And I think I will follow your 1 rupee clinic. Thank you. I'm very honored to invite the next speaker, and that is Dr. Jacob Ippen, a good friend of mine, and working in public health. He is qualified from Stanford, and is a very active and actively practicing pediatrician in that part of the world in California, San Francisco, and we are very honored to have you, Jacobi.
താങ്ക് യു സാദുല്ല. ഇവിടെ കുറച്ചു മുമ്പേ പഴയ ചീഫ് സെക്രട്ടറി IAS ജയകുമാറും എൻ്റെ ക്ലാസ്മേറ്റാണ്, പറയുകയുണ്ടായി ഒരു സന്തോഷമുള്ള ഡോക്ടർ കാണുമ്പോൾ രോഗികളും സന്തോഷപ്പെടുമെന്ന്. പക്ഷേ എൻ്റെ ഭാവം ഇപ്പോൾ നോക്കുമ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് വലിയ സന്തോഷം കണ്ടില്ലെങ്കിൽ അതിൻ്റെ ഒരു കാര്യം ഇതേ ഉള്ളൂ. 22 മണിക്കൂർ ഞാൻ ട്രാവൽ ചെയ്തത് രാവിലെ 3:30 മണിക്കാണ് ട്രിവാൻഡ്രത്തിൽ ലാൻഡ് ചെയ്തത്. അപ്പം എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു ഉറക്കത്തിൻ്റെ ഒരു ഇതിൽ വരികയാണെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ക്ഷമിക്കണം. എനിക്ക് ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ താങ്ക് ചെയ്യാനുള്ളത് പിന്നെ നമ്മുടെ മെഡിക്കൽ കോളേജിൽ നിന്നുള്ള ഗ്രാജുവേറ്റ് അല്ല, CET ട്രിവാൻഡ്രം എഞ്ചിനീയറിംഗ് കോളേജിൽ നിന്ന് ഗ്രാജുവേറ്റ് ചെയ്ത് എൻ്റെ ഒരു വലിയ ആത്മസുഹൃത്തുമാണ്, വെരി സക്സസ്ഫുൾ ആൻറ്റർപ്രണർ. സോ അപ്പോൾ ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു ടോപ്പിക്ക് വന്നപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു നിങ്ങളൊക്കെയാണ് ഇവിടെ വന്ന് കുട്ടികളൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞു കൊടുക്കേണ്ടത് എങ്ങനെയാണ്. He founded 2 companies in the Silicon Valley. Both he took it to public, and both are billion-dollar companies. And this is Babu Shivadasan. He probably may not speak for himself, but I'm just saying. Thank you so much. He also landed today morning. We met up in Doha. He flew in from San Francisco to Dallas and Dallas to Doha, and today morning both of us landed. So anyway, so I won't talk much about entrepreneurship because we've got real great entrepreneurship, people who are entrepreneurs. But I come from a land of entrepreneurs because I practice around the Silicon Valley, where all innovations are done. And this is not confined to engineers. A lot of the innovations are now spilling into the health field, the health technology. And if you look at most of the health vendors are health technology vendors who are coming to sell things, streamlining products, making artificial intelligence work. And even in clinical medicine, you'll be so surprised that things can be diagnosed by using artificial intelligence. Now they've got a product by just looking at your past medical records and using artificial intelligence, you can pretty much predict who has got septicemia. We were never taught that. We were taught, did you have history of fever, or do a CBC, look at leukocytosis, or shift to left. But those days are slowly changing. And even in selecting medications for hypertension, they're using artificial intelligence to select the right medication for the right patient. So all that innovations are happening, and I think we shouldn't be behind. I think our students should get involved in it, start thinking in that direction. And unfortunately, like many of them said, these things are not in our curriculum. And I think my dream would be having lived there and having seen all the innovation. When I went to Stanford University, when I was a student at Stanford University, I did my residency there. The founders of Google, which is a multi-billion-dollar company, they were both there. They were both doing PhDs there. And so innovators are there. I mean, Stanford has produced about 120 Nobel laureates. And across the street, University of California, Berkeley has produced about 82 Nobel Prize winners. And I was fortunate to be a student of both. I did my master's in public health from University of California, Berkeley, and did my pediatrics and residency in Stanford. And alumni of Trivandrum Medical College, of course, which is dear to my heart. But what I'm saying is, I've always come back to those alumni. I worked all around the world. I was in the United Nations. I was health advisor for the United Nations for refugees to the Philippines, where I was responsible for about 70,000 refugees. So why I'm saying all that is for the new generation. There are a lot of things, which they don't teach you here when you get your degree and walk out. Some of the things you got to innovate yourself. You got to discover yourself and find a passion. Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, he said everybody has got a job, everybody has a career, and everybody has got a calling. But the most important thing is the calling. If you have a calling, stick to that, stick to your passion, and try to develop something out of it. So like I was saying, my dream would be if you can integrate some courses between CET and here, into the medical curriculum, and basic coding, building platforms, and that will give a lot of thoughts to some of our students, because who have no idea. I mean, we are not technologically savvy. I mean, we use electronic medical records and all that, but it's so hard for us to really do all that because we are not savvy. It's very unfortunate. And on career planning, like many of them said, it's not for the money. If you look at the richest doctors in the world, none of them made money by seeing patients. Patrick Soong is actually from South Africa, Chinese origin from South Africa. I went to med school in Cape Town. I met him, started a pharmaceutical company, sold it. He is considered as the richest doctor in the world, about $12 billion. And next one is Thomas Frist, who started an insurance company in Tennessee. And his brother was a senator who was also a cardiothoracic surgeon. So, these are all people who have made, if money is the aim, there are a lot of other things you can do and make. So when I give career counseling to some of the students back in the US, the first thing I ask them is, what are you doing this for? And I always tell them, if it's for money, please don't do it. It's not worth it. Because the number of hours we put in, and if you divide that by your income, even plumbers make much more money than a doctor. So, so career guidance, career planning, I think is very important. In most of the med schools there, we have that. Stanford has introduced that. I think Albert Einstein in New York, they were the first med schools, actually one of the first medical schools to introduce the career planning. What they do is after the first year, they give you a test to find out, are you good in leadership, are you good in this, and they channel you on that way. And by third year, fourth year, they even let you, select, residencies of your choice. We don't have that. I mean, when I got out from here, I did my senior residency in Vellore, wrote an exam, got into DMRT, did for 3 months. I said, look, this is not what I want to do, tap a pleural effusion every day for the rest of my life. Somebody said, hey, you got a job, MD seat in pediatrics and CMC Ludhiana. I took a train, went to Ludhiana. So, but, that's how we all evolved. But I think that shouldn't be the same now. I think with all this technology, with all this changes that is happening, you have to be part of it. Otherwise, you'll be behind. And there's no reason, because like everybody said, I think our graduates are the cream. There's no reason to be behind. I think we can easily catch up. But and if you really look at, unfortunately, only about 44% of these big innovators are college graduates. None of them even have college. Bill Gates don't have a college degree. Larry Ellison, the founder of Oracle, doesn't have a college degree. Steve Jobs, Apple, he doesn't have a college degree. So none of them had a college degree. So you don't really, we spent so many years. My son-in-law is finishing his, he'll be finishing his fellowship in rheumatology. By the time he's done, it's 19 years in college. So, it's kind of ridiculous. Classmates of his who have done 4 years of engineering and then become innovators, founded a company, and they're all settled. So, it's a very, very long track in our industry. So, but we got to make best use of it, even when you're doing. So, one of the things that in the US, what they do is they have a lot of programs where MD, PhD, it's a combined program. So, every medical school, I believe there are 2 seats where you can get a PhD and MD. But then you've got to do another 4 years extra or 5 years extra. But what the university gets out of that is you become mostly an innovator. You become a scientist. So all that I think, can be applied here. Like somebody was saying today, there was only one, I think Faisal Maikar, I think Faisal was the only guy who got a PhD and MBBS. That's a shame. I think, we got to promote. So we got to make some, root changes. And definitely, we'll have innovators, founders. And I want to tell you, all these big universities like Stanford and Harvard, they're all run by endowments. People who have founded, Google founders give so much money to, Stanford. And so, we just cannot depend on the small alumni association and things like that. What you need is large endowments. People will go and find, discover Amazons and, pump in money into the med school and make it a better place. So I think it was Walt Disney who said, everybody can make their dream come true, but what you need is the courage to do it. With that, thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving me the time.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jacob-Bacon. You touch upon a very important point that, I think medical profession is now, may not be making anywhere near the other alternate professions. But whether we all, if given another chance, we will take the same profession or not. In my opinion, I will always take the same profession all over again. But as you mentioned that money is a, fringe benefit. We should consider money as a fringe benefit and follow your passion. Thank you very much. That's a very good message from you. I would be delighted to invite Dr. P.S. Taha, a great friend, well established in the Middle East, for years and years ago when I met him first in Abu Dhabi. And, but having come here, his dental colleges have really contributed to educate a lot of doctors over here in this state and in this country. Over to you, Dr. Taha.
Honorable dignitaries, students, teachers, friends, a warm welcome to you all. At the outset, I'd like to thank the organizers for inviting me to talk on this day, in this occasion of the Platinum Jubilee of my alma mater. I thankfully remember my teachers and guides and my friends who made me what I am today. We are celebrating 75 years of independence from colonial rule. As Indians, all of us deserve a nice pat on our shoulder because for the past 40 years, we have been growing at a consistent rate of 7%, except during this COVID pandemic years. During that crisis time, it is the untiring efforts of our health professionals, even sacrificing their lives, who saved our society. Kudos to all the health professionals in India, in the world. The basic requirements of a human being is air, water, food, and shelter. Once a child is born, the child breathes air. From that moment onwards, the need for healthcare starts. Let us thank God for making the air free for all. So, healthcare is as important as inevitable as air, but unfortunately, it is not free except in exceptional cases and situations. I don't want to talk too much on this one because there is a very feeble audience here, but still, I think I have to do my duty. Who is an entrepreneur? An entrepreneur is a person who sets up business or businesses taking financial risks in the hope of profit. There is a difference between businessman and entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, an entrepreneur is a market leader who creates market, but the businessman is a market player who makes a place in the market. Whether the term entrepreneur and businessman can be applied to healthcare field is a big question to me. An entrepreneur creates business. When you set up your own practice, you become an entrepreneur. It can be a single doctor practice, primary care center, multi-speciality hospitals, tertiary care centers, and specialty hospitals as well. In many situations, an entrepreneur starts from a very small scale, but takes it to a higher level to become an entrepreneur who have enough, those entrepreneurs who have enough financial support to start large-scale entrepreneurship in the beginning itself. In the first case, the risk factor is less, and the finance is generated from the initial activity can be taken forward to higher level. As per the general principles of setting up business in healthcare or any field, a project report to be prepared by experts covering all the financial aspects, risk factors, financial stage of the business, future development plans. This is especially important in very high-scale businesses. I shall tell you from my experience in healthcare business. I started a medium-level hospital here with a good project report, with good financial resources, but failed in 2 years. It was because I took certain things for granted, which is not a good quality of a good entrepreneur. In the Middle East, I started my practice and slowly developed into a multi-specialty center without proper planning, project reports, etc. But it came to be a successful venture. I don't mean to say that the planning and projects reports are not needed. An entrepreneur is a person who is having vision, dream to create something. He will have a passion for creation. He will do both hard work and smart work and willing to go to any extent to get things done. He needs good communication skills to understand the market, the people, and understand the people, and has good man management skills. Other qualities like showmanship, salesmanship, workmanship are all essential components. He should be able to think out of the box. He should have good self-confidence and willing to take risk. It's well known that risk and success go hand in hand. I remember, I shall say, some of my personal experience after graduated in dentistry from Government Dental College, Trivandrum. I wanted to start my practice, but I didn't have enough money to buy a dental chair and use it. I don't know how many of you believe that with the little money I had, I engaged a blacksmith and a upholstery man and designed and fabricated a dental unit and started on practice. This passion and thought, I believe, is the essence of good entrepreneurship. Later, of course, I joined the government service. I did my PG. Then I went to Middle East to start my practice. There also, in 1987, I went to Abu Dhabi to start my own practice instead of looking for an employment. I wanted to start the practice, and I had some friends, relatives there. I had some money with me. I went there, and I wanted to do it. But many people advised me this is a wrong time to start any business or any practice here, because there is the cost of living has gone up, and many people are moving away from there. You know what I said? Whatever happens, there will be some people here. And they have teeth, and they will have disease. And you refer 10 patients to me. I can convert it to 100 patients and to 1,000 patients in a matter of 6 months. And I proved it, because it is my self-confidence in my profession that made me to think that way. India is home for approximately 80% of the world population, and soon to become #1 population by overtaking China. Not a good news anyway. But there are blessings in every situation if you choose to see it. The great news about Indian population is that about 1.4 billion, that is about 140 crore people, 65% of them are below the age of 35. And 50% of the total population is below the age of 25. We have 70 crores youngsters comprises millennials, Z and Alpha generation. These generations born in the information superhighway with gadgets in hand and global outlook. I am telling you all this mathematics to give you an idea about ground realities. Before you decide on whether to go ahead with entrepreneurship or employment. One more point, I recently read from 2014 to 2022, the Government of India received more than 22 crore applications for various openings, out of which the government was able to provide employment only for 7 lakh people. That means 0.31% of the total job seekers find a place in government only 0.031% of the total job seekers find place in the government service. Here comes the importance of transforming the young Indian minds from job seekers to job creators. India's health industry has been growing at 22% per annum since 2016. It is approximately US dollar 372 billion industry today and one of the largest sectors in the Indian economy in terms of both revenue and employment. As per the estimates of National Skill Development Corporation, healthcare can generate over 500,000 jobs per year. Apart from clinics and hospitals, other healthcare opportunities like medical devices and equipment, health insurance, clinical trials, telemedicine, medical tourism, home care, etc. are also available. These segments are expected to grow rapidly as an aging population with a growing middle class increasingly favors preventive healthcare. Moreover, the rising population of lifestyle diseases caused by high cholesterol, blood pressure, obesity, poor diet, and alcohol consumption in urban areas is boosting demand for specialized care services. There are investment opportunities in other segments in India's pharmaceutical industry and other areas also.
A little bit timing, please.
I have been asked to stop here, but I want to say something little more. Many of the important things that to be an entrepreneur is the passion and an attitude for creation. That is very important. If you have a passion and if you have an attitude, you can be a successful entrepreneur. But what I would say, an entrepreneurship can be made by yourself, by public funding for generating big companies, and you can develop into a big centers. Dr. Sahudullah is there. But I would like to, bring to your notice that, always when you have such big companies are coming for taking shares, look into the prospects of it, get the proper documents before you are getting cheated. And so far I have been trying to about the healthcare industry and some of the high demand and emergence. And there is no dearth of opportunities that is in the world. For any profession, everything there is an opportunity. But you have to dig and find out what is suited for you, what is making you think suitable. This is, I had to say a little more, but many of the things have been told by our earlier speakers, and I really thank Mr. Panikar and other organizers of this conclave for inviting me to speak. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Dr. That message is very clear. There are no lack of opportunities. We have to find it, and instead of being job seekers, we should be job creators through innovation and also globalization.
Sorry for the interruption. Kindly move the complete line of vehicles parked in front of the portico. We'll mention the numbers now. KL01 BH6966, KL01 CG9020,
KL01 AR234, KL07 CR9473, KL01 CA236, KL05 AM4727, KL01 CU4500, KL01 CS9009, and KL01 AC0921, plus all the bikes parked in front of the portico. We request them to kindly move all the vehicles within 5 minutes, please. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a poor parking. Yeah, you're going to invite. No. So there's poor parking also should be watched. Okay, it's an honor to invite Dr. Ajju Matthew. He's a well-known, reputed oncologist from Cochin. I do not know any other things to say about you, but certainly over to you.
Thank you, sir. So I'm probably the most unknown person in the mix, and actually the youngest speaker in this entire convention. But in that regard, I'm probably closest to the concerns of most medical students and young graduates. So in prelude to this talk, I surveyed young graduates of medical schools or college students about their greatest career fear, and it's relevant. What will they do afterwards? So this brief talk, I will lay down some principles that helps you navigate your career minefield. If you're worried about what is going to happen to you, please remember that the world is your oyster. The entire world is full of possibilities. Now, I'm going to illustrate 15 principles that I've learned from my time in medicine over 23 years. As a first-year medical student, the first picture in the dissection hall to a practicing oncologist in the US. As everyone knows, success is easy to be seen, but there's a lot of hard work, there's a lot of failure, disappointments that goes underneath. So to move forward, 15 principles very quickly. Number one, find your passion. You can be a jack of all trades, you can be a master of one. You can be an I-shaped expert at one thing, you can be a T-shaped expert at one thing, but broad knowledge over multiple things. So as a young medical student, discover what is your passion, find it. Number two, plan meticulously. You don't want to be the head of the planning department with this kind of a building, or you don't want to be the civil engineer that constructs this kind of a bridge. But it's very common that medical students do not plan their career. For instance, if you want to go to the US and do your residency there, just like how I have done, and I didn't plan it according to what I'm going to tell you now, it is very important that you stop your medical school for a period of 1 to 2 months and go abroad and do a rotation, because that would mean externship, hands-on experience, and that counts in your application season. Number four, take calculated risk. You don't want to be stuck in one place saying, I don't want to do anything because I don't care, I don't want to take any risk. And I'm reminded of a story from my own life when I actually, after my medical school, I got into MD General Medicine in a government seat in Coimbatore Medical College. And at that time, I always wanted to do my master's in epidemiology. I got a full scholarship worth $50,000 to go to Cambridge. I requested for a year leave from the dean of MGR University, and they politely declined. So I was at crossroads. Should I leave MD General Medicine and take this master's course in Cambridge, or should I just stick around and finish my MD General Medicine? I can proudly say that all but one person, one teacher encouraged me, but everybody else said, don't leave your MD General Medicine and go for a taught master's course in epidemiology. It's going to be a stupid decision. And that's where this young couple actually helped me. They're actually my parents, their wedding picture. My mother said something that I want to pass on to you. Aju mone ninakku MBBS degree undu. So if you come back, you're a failure, you start a clinic, you still earn your living. And that helped me take the risk and drop the MD General Medicine seat that everybody at that time thought was such a foolish idea. Equip in soft skills, learn empathy, practice it. And how did that matter in my life? I went to apply for residency in the US. There were multiple highly talented students who were applying along with me with great scores, stellar scores. But I think what got me into one of the top medical schools in the US was my soft skills, my ability to communicate, to show empathy, to actually talk and learn. And so all the experiences that you gain during your medical school, I was part of a Christian medical fellowship, your leadership, your students' union activities, anything that you do outside of work, outside of your studies, helps equip your soft skills. Fight imposter syndrome. The first thing that I thought, when I was invited for this talk is, I don't deserve to be here. And that's just the opposite of the Dunning-Kruger effect. I don't know if you've heard about the Dunning-Kruger effect. The Dunning-Kruger effect is some novice, like a first-year medical, PG medical student, going to your rounds and saying that I know it all. It's the opposite of it. I've been there, done that, but I still feel like an imposter. How did that matter? I got into one of the top 10 medical schools in the US for residency, University of Pittsburgh, top 5 funded medical schools. But when I got a pre-match from that school, the first thing I did was, I was almost on the verge of declining it because I felt, this is a medical school that's a top 10, I'm not capable, I'm going to work with Americans, whereas I can get into a lesser medical school where there will be more Indian students and I can probably fare well with them. So I thought, I'm going to decline. I was almost on the verge of declining this spot in this place, but a Trivandrum Medical College alumni who was already a resident in a different place in Florida actually encouraged me and said, in very plain language. He said, it's a stupid decision, go ahead and accept it. And that actually helped me. So if you're invited to be here, you deserve it. I'm here because I earned it. So fight imposter syndrome. Aim for incremental growth. You can't expect to jump leaps and bounds. Take the small steps. One of the most common mistakes that mentees come to me, when they come to me make is, they want to write the first big journal article right away. But they have no clue where to put their punctuation mark. Aim for incremental growth. You can slowly get better. Even 1% better every day for 1 year is tremendous growth. So something small steps forward. For that, you got to read. I don't know how many of you medical students actually read a journal back cover to cover. One of the lessons that I've learned in my medical education is that you got to read journals. You got to have broad understanding of the field. So read and practice writing. You can't go to a supervisor or a mentor and say, I want to write a paper with you. You got to practice writing. You got to read, practice writing. Upskill constantly. You can have a degree, but all you have is a small root underneath. You can be thrown away by a monsoon shower. But having skills is laying you down for greater momentum. I don't know how many of you can understand what I'm trying to show here. Very few can, actually, unfortunately. A lot of medical students, when they come to me, they want to write a paper with me, but they don't have any idea how to reference. So these are various reference manager softwares. So if you're a medical student, you are doing your anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, or medicine, learn to use a reference manager. I'm just giving you an example. Learn soft skills. Kindle curiosity. Ask questions always. Your stupidest question is a question that remains unanswered. I regret that I didn't ask a lot of questions to my professors, but now I regret. But that's why I'm telling you, Kindle curiosity. Ask your questions. A lot of my citations, I'm being cited more, I'm being recognized more because I ask simple questions that others did not ask. Break down the hierarchy mindset. When a medical student comes to me, right now here, they wouldn't sit in front of me. They would stand 5 feet away and basically will say, sir, I've come to you. But a medical student who comes to me in the US would just come straight off, sit in front of me and say, I want to write a paper with you. Break down the hierarchy mindset. No more yes, sir attitude. If you want to be something, go ahead, break the hierarchy. Don't have hierarchical thinking at all. Overcome what will they think mindset. മറ്റുള്ളവർ എന്ത് വിചാരിക്കും എന്നുള്ളൊരു ചിന്ത. Overcome that. When I came back to India 3 years ago to practice in Kochi, my hometown, I had 2 options, settle down in the US or come back to Kochi, my hometown. I joined a small hospital, my style, my way. And this is a well-wisher oncologist writing to me in WhatsApp, oh damn, that is a new low. What would be motivation for patients to come to you? Well, now I have patients, I don't care, So if you start thinking about what others will think about you, you can't be anything. So don't think about what will others think about me. So mute that part of your thinking. What will other people think of me? Network in real world. One of my greatest benefits that I've had walking through this campus was meeting random great legends. And none other than C.R. Soman sir. I was a second-year medical student. I was walking in this corridor right in front of here. And Soman sir, who was a well-reputed teacher of teachers, was walking here. And I went to him and said, sir, I was a quizzer myself. I've been in your quiz. He noticed me. He took down my name. And when I actually graduated final year MBBS, he gave me a call and said, Aju, would you like to work with me for a few months? I'll offer you a salary. And I took it up fully, hands full. So I worked with him 3 months. And it was the best time of my life. In fact, Soman sir wrote me a stellar letter that got me to Cambridge University. In fact, in this letter that's written there, he said, Aju, I have gotten a letter from my mentor, and it said, I mean every word that I wrote about him. I'm going to write that for you. Now, when you come to me for work, several of you youngsters have come to me for work. People from Calicut Medical College, a young medical student, sought me out by email. I have never even seen him at that time. I've since then met him only twice. He's now the first author of a Lancet Oncology paper that is cited all over the world and being talked in podcasts and newspaper articles. So I mean everything that I write about you. So if you want to work with me, if you want to be someone, network. Another person that I recall is, I just met Rajagopal sir in RCC and I just introduced myself to him. Said, sir, I'm fascinated with your work. Several years down the line, he sought me out and said, Aju, I'd like to work with you. Can you be a director in the Paleo Media that I've set up? And Soman sir's letter actually became my launch pad, and I ended up in Cambridge. Hunt down mentors and sponsors. I'm finishing, sir. Hunt down mentors and sponsors. You got to have mentors. Hunt them down. You got to have sponsors. Who's a sponsor? Somebody who would give you a pitcher to drink. A mentor will show you where to find water. A sponsor will find a pitcher. Matthew Thomas, sir, this is for you, sir. So if I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulder of giants. I consider Matthew Thomas, sir, Shanai, sir, my professor in Sweden, where I went for an elective as part of the exchange program between Medical College Trivandrum and Karolinska Institute, my professor in Cambridge, and my professor in University of Pittsburgh. All of these, hunt down mentors. Practice team philosophy. When I came back, the biggest obstacles that I've had is from my own colleagues, doctor fraternity. There is nothing. This song, Teri Jeet, Meri Jeet, Teri Har, Meri Har. We got to practice team mindset. Together, everyone achieves more. Value integrity. When I wanted to go to the Cambridge, the dean of MGR said, why don't you just abscond? Give a health certificate after a month. But if I had, after a year, if I had done that, I wouldn't be standing in front of you here today. And lastly, finally, what Leonardo DiCaprio said, hard work beats talent every time. So these are my success mantra for you young graduates. Best wishes in your career. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Dr. Jubilee, thank you very much. I think your mantra is really good, especially the one which I remember well is the hierarchy mindset should be broken and no SR business. And that's sort of the curse of probably our educational system. Thank you. I think I'm very happy to introduce, my co-chair, Dr. Mahesh Verma, and he's a very decorated person, and he is the Vice Chancellor of Guru Indraprastha University, New Delhi, and he came all the way and to participate in this one. And over to you, Dr. Mahesh Verma.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, let me thank Dr. John Pennicker for inviting me. I want to share with you that this very hall evokes a lot of memories for me because I am a student of Trivandrum Medical College. My teacher, Dr. Babu Matthew, my classmate, Dr. Krishna Prasad. I've had my graduation, post-graduation in dentistry from here, and probably that seed which was sown here, gave me opportunity to go up in my life, and it evokes a lot of memories, and I want to share with you that from here on, after doing my post-graduation, I went to Delhi. I was a dean there in the medical school, Maulana Jad, for almost 30 years. I got Padma Shri, I got BC Roy, and then I moved on as a Vice Chancellor of Delhi's biggest university. So it's a nice feeling, and as some of you, the veterans, gave some nuggets. In fact, I wish there were more students here, because as someone said, that we need to learn from everybody, everyone, for everything. And I myself, as you also said, Aju, that that you keep learning. It's that attitude that I know it all. That should not be there. I know that we have a very limited time, but what I like to do always, that whenever we hold some panel discussion or such seminars, I always jot down certain nuggets, certain key points, and I like to share that. And then, of course, we have a panel. We can quickly have some questions from them also. One or two tips actually for the youngsters. We opened our session with Dr. Vijay Raghavan. Fantastic. We had a panel where we had a technocrat, we had a dental, we had public health guy, and we had an oncologist, successful from US. And I think, Dr. Raghavan, you said, yeah, Sri, for me, you are a doctor, sir. So, Dr. Vijay Raghavan, you said that value time. I do appreciate that, and everything. He said a biggest thing, that we doctors are the greatest entrepreneurs. You think entrepreneur is only making money? I think because by the sheer fact that we hard work, we go through a grill, and you said a lot of successful people are not even graduates. They have not gone through the grill. They have been innovators. So I think we can be, and then it's not just making money. He said social commitment, very important. And medical education is being diluted, especially in values. I do agree. The quality, I also happen to be the chairman of NABH, National Accreditation Board for Hospitals, and every time we are fighting for patient safety, patient quality, we are looking for that, and that's being diluted. So, and we owe it to the society. Sir, you said, Vijay Raghavan sir, you said that we need to pay back. And I think that can be also one of the entrepreneurial skills that we, not just make money. And entrepreneur is a spirit, and that every youngster must generate that in their mind, and each of us have opportunity to do that. And let's turn that spirit into a venture, in niche areas. Find a gap, because entrepreneur is only entrepreneur if it helps the society. If it doesn't help, if it only helps your coffins, it only fills your coffin, I think you're not an entrepreneur, in a true sense. Then we had Dr. J.K. Ipan, public health, and he said, engineering is spilling into healthcare today. And I know, because in my university, I have engineering colleges and have a medical colleges, and how IITs and other institutions are running blending courses, health programs, and engineering programs. They're already starting master's program and PhD programs, and we need to innovate. We need to discover things yourself through passion, and need to integrate medical and other streams. I think it's high time that we think out of the box. And I'm also part of the National Medical Commission, and I know, we have very, very, tunnel vision that only medical, and nothing beyond. Other day I said that let's have some quality curriculum and a quality in our program, in our curriculum, in a medical curriculum. And they said, no, there is nothing, there's no scope, there's no time, there is no provision. So we don't think. I think it's high time. And career planning in medicine, there are many other fields. Career planning should also be part of our programs. And he said that big campuses, owners, they have never been a college graduates, and I think it's make root changes in innovation and need endowments. We don't, how it, all the universities in US and other areas, we have people from UK here, they are run by the old students, endowments, and here, we have such illustrious alumni, and somehow we don't get any endowments. Dr. Taha is a colleague of mine. I want to share with you that he was my teacher in BDS, and in MDS he was my junior. I was in the second MDS, in first MDS. He did MDS later. And I think what an enterprise that how he started from a small dental clinic and run into. So he said, I think the most important thing, Dr. Taha, you said, take risk. I think the very important, unless you challenge yourself, you want to make, unless you challenge you will not be able to reach there. Aspirational plans, management skills. I think, again, that need to confidence and professionalism somewhere. Confidence. Unless you take challenge and you're confident that you're going to be there, you will not. We are a young country, he said, and there are a lot of opportunities. And be a job provider rather than a job seeker. And that's in Delhi, healthcare, a lot of, Desh Ke Mentor. There's a mentorship program. I think that should come across all over. So that was a fantastic thing. And he said, be passionate and be creative and a right attitude, because there are a lot of opportunities. There are so many areas we are still untapped. And then we have Dr. Aju Matthew, fantastic. The best nuggets you gave to the youngsters, that the world is full of possibilities. You discover your passion, plan, take risk, develop soft skills. We are very, you said you empathize, because we are taught that way. When we go to US, we are humble, we are ready to learn. And that's how they like it, because but the students there may not be that, they may not have that kind of attitude. So take baby steps. I think that's a big statement you made. Not just, you can't eat elephant in one bite. You need to eat it step by step. So do that, upskill, keep reading. We stop reading after our post-graduation. We never open the book. Keep reading. Curiosity, don't shy from bigwigs. Okay, so what? He's a professor. I can always approach him and ask him. Break the barrier. I think that was, and network. Today is the world of networking. I want to tell you that incidentally, as some of you said, that you met some people, and that's how you reach And it also happened in my life that you by chance meet somebody and then the chain reaction starts. Look for mentors, teamwork, integrity, and your last statement that the hard work beats talent. That hard work, nothing happens without hard work. So we had a good session and we had a lot of nuggets which emanated from this discussion. But we have a panel of, very high profile panel of professionals here from UK, and can we have maybe a minute or so to each of the panelists so that we can take their, some of their information, which probably would be useful to the students. Yes.
I know that there is a panel session associated with it, and we have got very distinguished people here on the stage. Mr. Babu Shivadasan, and co-founder and CEO of Jiffy. Babu, welcome. Jiffy, yeah. And Dr. Devika Maheshwari, President ATMG UK, and Dr. Sindhu Pillai, President AKMG USA, and Dr. Gopalakrishnan Nair, Secretary ATMG UK. So we have got an excellent panel. If, the panel is usually, I always like the interactive session. If you have questions, it's a good opportunity to ask. Otherwise, we will pass on the microphone to each one to say a couple of minutes to your lessons, because some of you have so much of foreign experience, and so please share with us.
Thank you. I was just sitting here, and I feel like I'm a misfit here. I'm an engineer at heart. My dad wanted me to be a doctor, and being an engineer at that time was the easiest path to getting a job. That's all I wanted. I just wanted a job, and we pursue our passion, but first we need to put food on the table, right? So that's all I did. And but in that path, what I found was that I was a gold medalist, but didn't matter. I couldn't find a job. I was failing interviews after interviews, right? And in that journey, along the way, that moment came for me, which is, I'm looking at this problem very wrongly, right? Instead of looking for a job, I should be creating a job for myself, right? And then I thought about, okay, if I can create a job for myself, I can do for one more person. And I graduated from Trivandrum Engineering College. I couldn't land a job in computer science in the city of Trivandrum. I resented the fact that I had to leave the town. And that's my story. You pursued a job and then changed that into creating jobs, and then pursued that as a mission. So most entrepreneurs, they're not born entrepreneurs. You find your path. And in my case, I found that path. And a lot of entrepreneurs, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs today. And they're all, different in a way. They are misfits. They go into a place, it may not be the right fit for them, but they bring in a lot of heart into what they do. I keep saying, I may look, I'm 50 by the way, but I may look 60, but my heart is 21, right? And that's the kind of attitude. Age is just a number. The attitude, the never die attitude, that's what makes an entrepreneur. So if you're looking for words of wisdom, that's what I would say. If you look at medical profession, right? God created humans this way. We're going to be sick. What is the best patient experience that a patient wants? That's an experience of sitting back, I'm sick. Nobody wants to go through the process of being sick. The best experience that patient can have, and that's the opportunity. There are plenty of opportunities. And that's what I mean. So if you're looking for an opportunity, just think hard. Focus on the patient. And from there, you will find what you can do.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am,
Yeah, I think Dr. Devika Maheshwari, President ATMG UK.
Hello, can you hear me okay? I basically had done a little presentation just on the career options in UK, and I'm prepared to share those slides with whoever is interested, particularly the emails. And Gopal and I, just as I was telling, half of the stage is full of people who have traveled from either UK or US, just got in here this morning. I am prepared to take them through just that career options, basically, right, starting from the PLAB examination, going through the foundation years, the specialist training post, then there are the locum posts and the CSER thing. So I have those slides made, and the other thing is that because both my children are in those career pathways, it'll be easy for them to get a bit more experience or know more about what is happening on the ground. So that's why, but I know due to limits of time.
I know. Can you go through the slides in a couple of minutes?
A couple of minutes.
yeah,
sure.
okay. You want to go?
So basically the mandatory requirements, obviously, you know, it will be the IELTS, the OET exam, and basically the MBBS, and you should be in the international directory of those who can go into the GMC thing. So the foundation year program, a couple of years, foundation year 1 and 2, but sometimes people may join in foundation year 2. But main thing they're looking from the PLAB examination is that that person should be safe as a foundation year 2 when they pass PLAB examination. So they will make sure that they are judged against those standards. And then the further training comes with the core training and then the specialist training. So even though it's written MBBS, when I'm talking and standing here as an ex-alumni, I know that people would be thinking, why that? And that's only because there are only certain universities which appear in that directory. And of course, Trivandrum Medical College will be far high up on that list. So the 2-year foundation year program, which I said, and that's a completion of the FY1 and FY2. That means they have to have satisfied certain competencies, and that will be decided by the people wherever they are, whether they are in India and doing the training or they are abroad and doing that training. Those competencies will have to be met, and the website is there. I won't be going through the medicine, surgery, all of those separate bits, but just to remember, in medicine, it'll be the 3 years and then followed on by the higher training. And in surgery, it'll be 2 years core training followed on by the surgical training. That's about 6 years. And obstetrics and gynae, pediatrics, radiology, they're all run through programs. So you start with just getting your the first post, and you're just taken through the whole thing because they don't need to cover anything after that. No exams till the exit exam. But the first 3 exams, particularly for the MRCOG, which I know more about, MRCOG Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, they should have passed that at certain stages. By ST2, they should have passed Part 1, and then when it comes to ST5, they should have passed Part 2 and Part 3. And that's all very much there on the website. So the multi-specialty recruitment assessment is basically a common theme that you have in all of these specialties. If you're planning to go, you need to have written an exam, and then you will be scored on that, and then you are going on to the next stage. But your portfolio becomes important. Non-training, I'm not covering just now. There are a couple of pathways. The CSER pathway exams, again, you should have completed a certain, at a particular stage, you should have completed that many exams, and then you have your exit exams right at ST7, ST8, particularly if we are talking about surgical specialties, or 6 and 7. Portfolio would be something, don't be alarmed. What we are finding here is this Trivandrum voice, or whichever voice we can say, they are just overwhelming people, working very, very hard. So you have to have your portfolio prepared, which can be, as it says, research experience, but that means like PubMed things. You would be doing your publications, your exams that we have already talked about, audit and quality improvement, all of these things, teaching, prices, commitment to specialty, all of these, when you come into the UK system, you will get opportunities. So either you can start here, or you can certainly do that when you come in there, you will get opportunities. And please do not be frightened, because I am so happy to be standing here. We are the 1982 to 87 batch, myself and Gopal, the first entrance batch. And we feel so proud to see how our children are doing so well, and they will come there and they will do very, very well. I can assure them that, and I want to give them all the encouragement possible. That's what I want to do. And Gopal and I will do everything in our means to make them proud. We'll give every help possible. And I think I should be, so timeline, I won't talk too much. It's just that August is when the posts come up, and so by November they should have done all the training bits and everything. So they're putting that in. December is when they're all analyzed, and by February is the interview. March is the time when they know about their results. So just the timeline. Interviews are always clinical and ethical scenarios, and portfolio, which is the one that I was talking to you earlier. And there is the medical training initiative through the Royal Colleges. So you are exempt from PLAB for that, and also the trust grade doctors. So trusts employ them directly. So that's one. And we have the British Associations of Physicians of Indian Origin, who do a BAPIO training academy, and they have actually got 2 years where they train people in India, and then 2 years back in UK, and they are exempt from PLAB. So we can always explore those options. BMA, the British Medical Association, has now just, this is hot off the press, they have got an affiliate membership, and they are happy to give all the help for international medical graduates. Few websites are there, and it's in block letters. Apologies about that. Just my email is there. You can take that. But Gopal and I will be very happy to help anybody who wants to come. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. In fact, this was a very useful session. And if you share those slides with alumni, we can circulate among the students. And you have offered to help. And certainly, UK is a destination for most of the young graduates coming out now. And so it will be a great help. I'm sorry to rush you through because of the time factor.
Just one more thing, I just wanted to invite everybody. We have from the 16th to the 18th of September, we have our Trivandrum Medical College alumni meet, basically the UK graduates. So we are welcoming you all over after 2 years of completely digital programs. We are more than happy to see everybody in person, and we are all excited. So if any of you all can come over, we would love to see you, and we would want to reach out to you also. Thank you so much.
Dr. Sindhu, please, wherever you would like to. You want to use the podium, please. Yeah, thank you. She is the president of the Akmg USA, and well-known figure. Thank you.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me? Okay. Yes. Ellavarkkum namaskaram and good afternoon. And first of all, I want to thank you all. I see a lot of faces sitting here from the morning. ബിഷപ്പിൻ്റെ വിളി വരുമ്പോൾ എങ്ങനെയാണ് പാഷനൊക്കെ നമുക്ക് ഓർക്കാൻ പറ്റുമെന്ന് നമുക്കറിയില്ല. So many of you are sitting here for so many hours, and I want to thank you all for being patient with us, and sorry about that. We had an excellent discussion here and excellent speeches. Thank you to all the speakers here. My name is Sindhu Pillai, and I am a proud alumni. I'm not an alumni of Trivandrum Medical College, but I'm a proud alumni of Alapi, TDMC Alapi Medical College. And my principal, Dr. Suma Madam, is here. I just met her at the college the other day. And also, I have somebody from California, where I live. I live in California, USA. I'm a practicing pediatrician. Dr. Jacob Epen is also from California, and he's also part of our team. It is my pride and honor to be here representing Association of Kerala Medical Graduates, AKMG. And currently, I am the president-elect. I will be the president in the year 2024. And we do have Dr. M. Pillai here. And thank you, Dr. Pillai, for inviting me, and also Dr. John Panikar for inviting me to speak here. We have Dr. Krishna Prasad here. He's also very active, integral part of AKMG. We do have our president, ex-president now, Dr. Nijal Haroon, and his lovely wife, Dr. Nisha Nijal. We have at our 43rd AKMG convention. We have convention every year. Just happened in, conducted very successfully in Toronto, Canada. And the next will be the 44th convention, going to be happening in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And that will be under the presidency of Dr. Geeta Nair. And the following one in 2024 will be, it will be under my leadership, and that will be most likely in San Diego, California. So I'll invite, if anybody can travel abroad, please do so for all this convention and to support us. Now, about AKMG, it's, as the name implies, it's an alumni association of Kerala medical graduates, and it was started back in late 70s and early 80s by a group of physicians, and now it's one of the most pioneer premier organization in North America and Canada. And now it has grown into almost 4,000 physicians. And like I said, we just did our 43rd convention. And I have attended many conventions from early 2000, but one thing I am very excited and impressed and proud of is a lot of young physicians have joined, and that is the young physicians are our future, and we know very confidently that AKMG's future is well secured in these young minds. So we do have a lot of supporting programs that we are doing to help with the young physicians. Our topic today is entrepreneurship and career development. So for that, we do have different programs that we have done over the last 2 years, even before that. One is the AKMG Mentorship Program, where it's under the guidance of Dr. Deepu Sudhakaran and Dr. Nina Thomas. And we do have, we conducted very many virtual seminars and the Rising Star seminars. We had very career coaching. We do have a residency guidance forum, and where we provide guidance on how to apply for USMLE, how to apply for residency, the national matching program. We do provide help. We have mentors who can talk to them, who can give them all kind of advice and guidance on observership, exchangeship, and so forth. We do have a very reputed project. We recently started the last year. We did almost 8 sessions, and we do have more 7 or 8 sessions coming up in the next year or so, called the Akmg Launch Pad, which is a very important project or part of our organization that going very successfully. We have excellent speakers, very eminent speakers, in fact. We had the president of the Mayo Clinic is coming up, is the next speaker, Dr. Pratibha Varki. We have Dr. Amit Ghosh. We have Dr. George Thomas, American Medical Association president. So many of them have been there, Dr. Larry Perkins. So it basically is it's an initiative to advance career development and to see how we can develop leadership skills in us. So many times we just get lost with our practice and our patients and everything, and we don't get the developed leadership qualities. And I think it is very important, even when you think about entrepreneurship and the career development. So that is where we give guidance for career coaching, how to become a good leader, and it is going very successfully, and we're looking forward to getting more sessions. Then the third one is, Dr. Sagadullah mentioned about the career coaching, that it is very important for time management. We also have to have our personal life. We have to have a balance between work and family, and it is very important for physicians to have such kind of a career coaching, how to balance between the work and life. So that is also coming up. So we are very excited about our projects, and youngsters, please be passionate for doing what you're doing. You are in the right place. All the hard work you are doing, it's all worth it. And wish you all the very best to all young physicians, and thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the last, Dr. Gopalakrishnan, and he said a few words. In fact, I was kind enough to say that it's a few words that he will conclude.
Thank you so much. I think what I wanted to say has been actually said very well by Devika. I've heard the great speakers here given nuggets of information. What I wanted to say was ATMG in the organization, we are trying to push frontiers in trying to get together a more information base and a guide for the international medical graduates. So we are hoping to put together a guide. Information gathering, now it's available on the internet, but we try to make it more focused. We also have trying to get formal links with networking with other organizations such as BAPIO, which Devika alluded to. They have now opened up fellowships plus MBA. They have a combined MBA and a four-year course in MRCS, and these are our paid courses. So there are so many programs coming through, so we will try and put them all together under an umbrella. And AKMG, we've had an initial meeting, and we are hoping that we can collaborate with them and the Trivandrum alumni. So I have a presentation, but I won't bore you with that. What I wanted to ask was for the juniors, for the career aspirants who want to have thought about and want to look for a career in the UK, please feel free to contact me or Devika, and we'll be able to just point them towards the information. But no career is an easy career. You have to work very hard. You have to network, as you said, to gather information. You have to get your portfolio right. But if you're willing to do the legwork, then sky is the limit. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. I think there is another session before the Chief Minister comes. And so I think we will call it, close on this session. I